All right, guys, we're going to start the show shortly. Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille show. Slowly getting the feeds up and running. Jude, I'll confirm what we got up and running here. Do me a favor of liking and sharing the show. Like and share the show. J-Dubs, we are live on my personal Facebook page. Live on my personal Facebook page. We have some news out of the University of Virginia, as it looks like Chris Pollard is about to be named the new head coach at the University of Virginia. This is the skipper from Durham and Duke University, who would take over for a Hall of Fame coach and a legend, Brian O'Connor. J-Dubs, Brian O'Connor, you've had a chance to meet in studio a few times. You'd say an all-around nice guy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like easygoing, approachable.
Yeah.
Chris Pollard looking like the guy that's going to be named the head coach at the University of Virginia, guys, now that his baseball season is over. We'll talk about that today on the I Love CVille show. We will introduce you to Chris Pollard. Like and share the show. Like and share the show. Data centers. Should Albemarle County roll out the red carpet for data centers? Judah, do you think they should roll out the red carpet for data centers, Albemarle County?
I think they should look long and hard before making that decision.
I agree. I'm very much in agreement with you. And I got an interesting email from Neil Williamson, also sent to you, on data centers from Axios. It is just a slippery slope, these data centers, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about it on today's show. We have some big-time interviews lined up, ladies and gentlemen. Are we live on the group, J-Dubs?
Going live.
You're going live on the group? Fantastic. Kevin Yancey, welcome to the broadcast. James Watson, Carol Thorpe, welcome to the broadcast. Like and share the show. Like and share the show. Michael Plecker, Holly Foster, Gary Palmer, welcome to the broadcast. Roger Voisinay and Richard Price, ladies and gentlemen, have been locked and loaded for the 6/18 episode of the I Love CVille show. Jerry Cox from the Lewis Mountain Neighborhood Homeowners Association, the attorney who's in a squabble with Evergreen Development and Evergreen Builders, going to be on the show in 2 days. And we're going to introduce you to the CVille Smash team in studio. They're opening up an indoor pickleball facility in the old Marshall's location. Fantastic shows lined up, ladies and gentlemen, for I Love CVille. I mean, it is a good time to be a content creator. Judah Wickower, yours truly, Jerry Miller, live on my Facebook page. It's now got 6,700 followers. Judah, we are live on I Love CVille. Are we live on I Love CVille Food?
Yes.
You're doing a great job, Judah. Great job today. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts, your questions, your comments. We will relay them live on air. Live on LinkedIn, J-Dubs.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I'm very much looking forward to today's show. All right, I am ready to go. Which headline most intrigues you and why, J-Dubs?
I am glad to see that the police have gotten some security footage from, I believe, a local business catching who was doing the shooting, and I have full confidence that they'll bring them to justice.
I also agree with that. I have full confidence that they'll bring them to justice, too. Chief Conscious is going to bring justice swiftly to this unfortunate incident in downtown Charlottesville that, frankly, has got a lot of folks spooked, and it should have a lot of folks spooked. All right, we can rock and roll. J-Dubs, when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set. Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. Good Tuesday afternoon to you. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's a pleasure to connect with you. My name is Jerry Miller. Live in downtown Charlottesville, a block removed from a shooting over the weekend that left 30 shell casings on the asphalt of downtown Charlottesville within steps of a public library and within mere feet of the downtown mall, the heartbeat of Central Virginia, a region that's 300,000 people strong. We have a development in the case. Security cameras and video footage now has provided tangible evidence as this case heads to a potential arrest. A lot to cover on a Friday night, Saturday morning shooting that was a gunfight of significant proportions and fortunately only left one man, and I say that far from lightly, in critical condition, fighting for his life in a hospital right now. A lot to cover on today's program, including Chris Pollard, very shortly or very nearly the new head coach at the University of Virginia. We will introduce you to Chris Pollard today on the I Love CVille show. Goodness gracious, he has some big shoes to fill as Brian O'Connor is no longer walking on water at the Dish, at Davenport, and in the grounds of Thomas Jefferson's University. A lot we're going to cover on the program. We have indoor sports and entertainment facilities opening what should be in the next 6 months, 3 of them, and 3 distinct business models, but 3 models that could be the future of retail space that is facing significant headwinds in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. We'll talk about that on the I Love CVille show today. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a hell of a lineup of guests upcoming in the very near horizon, the near future, including friends of the program, Roger Voisinay and Richard Price. They are the talent behind Woolen Mills Court. They have gone 15 months of review with Charlottesville City. They finally have approval on a subdivision application under the new city zoning regulations. This approval allows for the creation of 4 sublots at the 10,000 square foot property located at 1317 East Market Street in the Woolen Mills neighborhood, 1317 East Market Street in Woolen Mills. The property sits on the corner of 16th Street Northeast, just a half a block from Firefly, the restaurant, and Meade Avenue Park and Pool. This property has 200 feet of road front frontage on 16th Street Northeast and 50 feet on East Market Street. Under the previous zoning regulations, a second home would not be allowed to be built, as each home needed to be on its own 6,000 square foot lot, necessitating a 12,000 square foot lot instead of the 10,000 square foot lot they have. This is a big development. The first phase of this development, ladies and gentlemen, involves selling the existing home on sublot 4, which faces East Market Street. The developers will join us in studio, folks, on I think, an interview that's going to really drive the development market on the 18th of June. This week, we have Jerry Cox, the head of the Lewis Mountain Neighborhood Homeowners Association. The attorney will be in studio on Thursday. He is leading the Lewis Mountain fight against Evergreen builders and developers. They purchased the brick rancher on Alderman Road with plans to tear down the brick rancher, which they purchased for $800,000+ a year ago. And they had intentions of building 6 luxury brownstones in the brick rancher's place. The neighborhood association said, in the words of Lee Corso, "Not so fast, my friends." And the fight continues, and the general leading that fight, leading the Lewis Mountain Brigade, is going to be in studio on Thursday. And folks, the last interview I want to highlight that is already scheduled, locked and loaded, the team behind CVille Smash, the indoor pickleball facility in the old Marshalls location, they will join us in studio next week as their business, their indoor facility, CVille Smash, is approaching a grand opening. My, oh my, do we have a lot of interviews lined up. And folks, how about the Virginia Senate refusing Ken Cuccinelli, his appointment on the UVA Board of Visitors? Goodness gracious, when Glenn Youngkin appoints embattled, when Glenn Youngkin appoints, how would you characterize Cooch? lightning rod appointments to the UVA BOV, the politics, the dirty politics of it all certainly shines its face, and that's what's happening right now. Judah Wickower, studio camera, 2-shot. We'll give Charlottesville Sanitary some love on this program. 61 years in business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. John Vermillion, Andrew Vermillion. The Vermillion men are honest, communicative, knowledgeable, full of integrity. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply on East High Street. Also online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Judah, we know these men inside and out. We know this business inside and out. They take care of our pool, my pool in Ivy. A-plus family, Judah Wickower.
No doubt. Good guys who know their business and are always there to help.
And on the short list for Best of CVille. Yep. The Vermillion men and Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. Judah Wickower, which headline intrigues you today the most and why?
I'm intrigued by the fact that someone got video footage of the shooting of the kerfuffle. And,
you call that a kerfuffle?
I mean...
Not a brouhaha? Are both kerfuffle and brouhaha light for what transpired? Is gunfight a better depiction of what transpired Friday night into Saturday morning in downtown Charlottesville?
Yeah, most likely. Though we don't know the full extent of it. We just know that there were a lot of bullets fired off.
A lot we're going to cover. Chief Kachis, a man who understands the need for swift justice. Mm-hmm. His detectives working around the clock on solving a shooting that could have been way, way worse. Mm-hmm. And if you noticed, in the press release, they were very quick to acknowledge the use of flock cameras.
Yeah.
Why did they acknowledge flock cameras in that press release?
Probably because it can be a very useful tool.
And because that useful tool is in the crossfire of every activist and socialist and progressive in the Charlottesville-Albemarle County area.
Yeah.
If the flock cameras, again, help this police department figure out who sprayed 30 bullets in downtown Charlottesville next to a public library, I'll say it loud, I'll say it proud, and I'll say it for the Joes and Josies on the back of the bus. The flock cameras are providing value for this community.
Yeah. And to add to that, again, these are not cameras that are, capturing your face, IDing you. What they're going to do is they get the license plate. They can find from that who the car is registered to, and if they saw several vehicles fleeing the gunfight, then this will help them capture the people that were shooting up downtown just a few days ago.
If you hear the activists in town, if you hear the Livable CVille organization offer negative feedback on Flock, say, stop it. You're not making the community any better, folks. Flock is providing value for police officers who are working around the clock to solve a crime. We'll get to that story. One Shot Me, Judah Wickower. The lead of the show, however, has got to be Chris Pollard, the Duke head coach that is now being reported the new baseball coach at the University of Virginia. First reported by Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball. Chris Pollard, a Virginia native, is looking to come back to the Commonwealth. Over the last 13 years in Durham at Duke, he has helped lead the Blue Devils to 7 NCAA tournament appearances and 4 super regionals after winning the Athens Regional this season. This man is a talented coach, Chris Pollard. He is a 379 career wins at Duke entering the 2025 season. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at a guy that's going to have tremendous pressure replacing Brian O'Connor that's headed to SMU, Mississippi State. Chris Pollard is a man that has had a ton of success, an Amherst County native who grew up a UVA baseball fan, grew up rooting for the Cavaliers, admired Brian O'Connor and the University of Virginia from not afar, but from Amherst County. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Pollard, Duke's head coach, is now, by one media outlet, being reported as the new baseball coach at the University of Virginia. Let's take it beyond the headlines. What does this mean for the fan base? What does it mean for Carla Williams? Well, folks, this is a significant hire for the athletic director. It's a significant hire for the athletic director at a very challenging time for the athletic director. She heads into a football campaign where this team must win, and it must win out of the gates. From an attendance standpoint at Scott Stadium, UVA at the bottom of the Atlantic Coast Conference, not even half the stadium full. 60+ thousand in attendance. On a good day, UVA securing 30,000 butts in the seats at Scott Stadium, and that's on a good day. Carla Williams needs this hire to be splashy and welcomed by the fan base. Then she needs Tony Elliott out of training camp to start winning football games in convincing fashion, because she has to galvanize and rally this fan base very quickly, because if it doesn't happen, the splintering, the anger, the turmoil, the frustration, and the call for her jobs will only intense and increase. She is on a hot seat that is as warm as any in the athletic department, and yes, I include Tony Elliott on that list. If you're just watching the program, tuning in now, Chris Pollard, Duke's baseball coach, is by one media outlet now being reported as the next head coach of UVA baseball. Studio camera, two-shot, Judah Wickhauer. Next headline, put it on screen, shows up-tempo today. Flock, Mike Kochis, Charlottesville Police Department, evidence, the case is moving forward. I saw police officers up and down Market Street yesterday looking for security footage for what transpired Friday night into Saturday. Chief Kochis and one of the best communications directors out there, Kyle Irvin, communicating with the media yesterday that downtown's still a very safe place to go. I want to talk about downtown mall and safety. I also agree downtown's still very safe. Curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. All the shootings that we've seen, not just this year, but in the last few years, are all isolated incidents. These are not, people running around doing this on a regular basis. The people that break the law and shoot their guns off in public are getting caught, and in most cases, getting punished for their crimes.
In the press release, in the communication with the media yesterday, Chief Kochis quick to emphasize this was not gang related.
Yeah.
This was a drunken beef. He was also quick to emphasize in communications with the media yesterday that the data suggests downtown Charlottesville is very safe and that gun violence is down. In his communication with the media yesterday, he was very quick to emphasize the use of flock cameras in this investigation, Judah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we have incidents like this, they're obviously very front and center, very visible. We hear about them, and they are scary, terrifying to think that there are people shooting off guns just a few blocks from where we're sitting right now. And but the fact of the matter is, that's just it. More and more, we're connected digitally to everything that's going on, and so these things obviously, hit hard. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at the numbers, and I don't have the numbers, but when you take a look at the numbers, you see that these types of incidents are on the decline, rather than on the ascension.
Now, once an arrest is made, it will be up to the justice system. And I hope with gun violence that it is the full force of what is punishable with these alleged gunmen. They face the full force of punishment once arrested. The grace and empathy offered in some cases should not be with gun violence. And I still know that, ladies and gentlemen, There's many in downtown and the circles that I run that have been left shaken by this because of 30 shell casings on the ground and the prolific nature of what could have been in downtown Charlottesville. CVille has escaped something that could have been much, much scarier. Still, the questions remain. I asked them yesterday, which building was struck by gunfire? How did this argument start? Where did it originate? Which business was it tied to? Why are men and women allowed to enjoy a public street for drinking and smoking and partying? Why is after-hours activity in a public street allowed? What kind of gun was used? How many gunmen were there? Was it a drive-by? Were there vehicles involved? These are questions that must be asked.
No doubt.
They must be asked. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Kevin Yancey, he's the first comment of the day as you put his photo on screen. He's got a dig at the University of Virginia, Kevin Yancey does. My grandfather hit the nail on the head with UVA athletics, Kevin Yancey says. They'd spend $1 million on a jackass to run the Kentucky Derby and then act surprised when he runs and finishes in last place. On YouTube, comments are coming in from ShiftGod13. ShiftGod13, where are you watching the program? You left a comment in the chat box on YouTube. ShiftGod13 says, if the Ryan Odom hire flops, you can wave goodbye to season ticket holders and the price hike they're trying to do. I think Virginia UVA is on the cusp of losing season ticket holders right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make the argument, Junior, you chime in here. It looks like you have something that you have to offer. I'll make the argument that with Virginia, and it's now official. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. The headline, put it on screen, take the question mark away from the first headline. Chris Pollard is now the head coach of Virginia baseball. The announcement has now hit my inbox. It hit my inbox 5 seconds ago from the University of Virginia. Chris Pollard named head baseball coach at the University of Virginia. Director of Athletics Carla Williams just sent the announcement out. The hiring of Chris Pollard as UVA's head baseball coach, the 16th coach in program history, Chris Pollard. He grew up in Amherst County, arrived in Charlottesville after spending 13 seasons at Duke, led the Blue Devils to a 420, 296 record, 7 NCAA tournaments, 4 super regionals, 2 ACC baseball tournament championships. His 420 wins, the most by any head coach in Duke baseball history. That is breaking news for you. The headline, now official, in my inbox from the athletic department. Chris Pollard, the new head baseball coach at the University of Virginia. Pollard has coached 46 Major League Baseball draft picks, 28 All-ACC selections, 9 freshman All-Americans, and 7 All-Americans. Chris Pollard, ladies and gentlemen, his 4th stop as a collegiate baseball coach and 26 seasons as a skipper, Pollard has compiled a career record of 806 and 614 with 3 ties. He's got stops at Pfeiffer, Appalachian State, and Duke. This is a big-time hire. He attended Virginia Episcopal School, a native of Amherst County. Ladies and gentlemen, your new baseball coach at the University of Virginia is Chris Pollard. I'm going to send you a link via Facebook Messenger now, Judah Wickhauer. I would love to get this photo on screen as we have breaking news on the I Love CVille show with the official release being sent to our inbox. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I want to give props and kudos to Carla Williams and her athletic department for not dilly-daddling or wasting time. That link is in your Facebook inbox. There should be a photo from that link that we can put on screen. I would love to get that photo on screen for the viewers and listeners as we can show a picture of Chris Pollard. I'll see if I can get it to you via email as well. Props and kudos to Carla Williams, who is certainly in my crossfire with an underachieving athletic department. Email sent, J-Dubs. Get that photo on screen when you can, of moving swiftly. Duke was just ousted out of the college baseball postseason. Now they lose their coach, and the local boy comes home. Huge hire. I'll say this in regards to the comment that came in from YouTube. when it comes to Virginia football, there is no more important games on the 2025 schedule than the first games of the season. It's paramount for confidence for the team. Coastal Carolina and Charlottesville, NC State and Raleigh, a non-conference game, William & Mary, Stanford, and Florida State. Those 5 games will go a long way in determining fan engagement, butts in the seats at Scott Stadium, and the momentum the university is trying to build into basketball season, where Ryan Odom, by most recruiting platforms, has built a team through the transfer portal that is as good as any rebuild that we have seen in college basketball so far. Some media pundits are comparing Ryan Odom's basketball rebuild to what Louisville did this past season, going from ACC cellar dweller to one of the top teams in the conference. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what money can do. God, the Pollard news is crazy. Duke's head coach, now the head coach at the University of Virginia. Give me a thumbs up when that photo's on screen. Kevin Yancey says, how can you even think of doing anything with any programs, ticket prices, when fourth-year football program, when you have a terrible football program, a first-year basketball coach, and just hired a baseball coach? I think the timing is quite odd as well, Kevin Yancey. I think it's quite odd as well. Cliff Daisy, watching the program on YouTube in the Eastern Shore. He says, you guys talked about this hire on the Jerry and Jerry show, Chris Pollard. And he gives props to Hootie. And he says he thinks this Chris Pollard hire is a good move. Unbelievable. Big time news. You got that pic for us?
Yeah, I got to convert it to JPEG, though.
Okay. Can't wait to see it. You could just screenshot it and do it that way if you want. It'll save time for a JPEG conversion when we're doing a live talk show. Just a suggestion. Comments are coming in extremely quick right now. Olivia Branch, welcome to the program. Credit where credit's due first. This is a big-time coach here. This is a big-time coach. The hire was made immediately after Duke was ousted from the college, from the baseball postseason. That happened last night. And now Pollard's the head coach at UVA. Big time move here. It also shows you what the power of broadcasting does. The front runner for this job was the Wake Forest head coach. And then the Wake Forest head coach was caught on a television broadcast in a game against Tennessee, unfortunately using a homophobic slur. And when the Wake Forest head coach uses a homophobic slur and is caught on camera uttering a homophobic slur, he goes from front runner for the UVA job to not having a shot at the Virginia gig. That mistake from the Wake Forest head coach with the homophobic slur probably cost the man millions of dollars in total compensation going from Winston-Salem to Charlottesville. It literally would have been millions of dollars in total contract compensation. Number 2 on the list was clearly the Duke coach. The photo is on screen. Look at the screen now. Look at the screen now. Look at the screen now. Let's see how the fan base responds. From my standpoint, this is a positive move for Carla Williams and Virginia baseball. James Watson, you heard me say it, a positive move for Carla Williams. Still, we have more to cover on the program. Neil Williamson, Johnny Ornalis, welcome to the broadcast. Judah, Ken Cuccinelli, lower third on screen. Cooch, not loved by Richmond politicians. Glenn Youngkin, an embattled pick for the Board of Visitors, a lightning rod selection to replace another lightning rod in Burt Ellis, and the Virginia State Senate says, no, dude, no Cooch on the UVA BOV.
It was worse than that. They said no to pretty much everything. They basically nixed all of his picks, his recent picks. There were 3 appointees to VMI that they said no to, and all 4 of his picks, his appointees to George Mason University, they said no to. So I don't.
Not
know.
much favor for Youngkin appointments to boards across the Commonwealth.
Definitely not. Not giving him any wiggle room.
The Cooch disdain doesn't surprise me.
Right. I don't know the other people that were nominated or appointed in to VMI or George Mason, but I mean the fact that they said no to 8 of his appointees tells you something about the politics going on.
The Senate Privileges and Election Committee votes Youngkin's appointees to the boards of UVA, Virginia Military Institute, and George Mason University down by a party line vote of 8-4.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Youngkin being castrated of power in his final stages in office.
Yeah.
Youngkin absolutely, from a perception standpoint, in the final stages in office, castrated of his influence and power. If Youngkin knew now that his Cooch appointment to the BOV would result in this, would he have ever taken Burt Ellis off the board?
It's a good question.
It's a great question. I still think he takes Burt Ellis off the board because I think the pressure to remove Burt Ellis from the BOV was the pressure of significant wealth. Significant wealth pressured Youngkin to remove Burt Ellis, and Youngkin still has aspirations one day of running for president.
But what did it get him?
What's that?
What did it get him? If all it was money, then maybe that was a fair trade for him. Who knows?
You think Youngkin says, I will take the castration of power and the perceived egg on my face for the promise of tens of millions of dollars of financial contributions should I make a push for president?
Who knows?
I think that's how it played out. And I think, to your point, those tens of millions of dollars for a push for presidency or for his PAC, for him to do what he wants, is more value than spots that he picks for boards across the Commonwealth at higher universities. Unbelievable politics and how it plays out. Next headline, Judah Wickhauer, what do you got?
Next, we have 3 indoor sports and entertainment businesses opening.
In the next 6 months, ladies and gentlemen, the expectation is 3 sports and entertainment indoor business models will open.
Yeah.
In converted spaces that were previously home to retail or office. Judah.
We have pickleball. We have rock climbing. What's the third one?
Coco's.
Coco's, right.
Coco's Adventure Center and the old Big Lots location with Dr. Hallibert.
Nice.
First, CVille Smash Pickleball and the old Marshall's location. The team from CVille Smash will join us in studio next week. Mm-hmm. You have one of the most popular sports in America, and you have an indoor facility that is going to prioritize pickleball across nearly 10 courts in the old Marshall spot.
Wow.
I'm curious to see the floor plan, which I hope we will be able to show on screen, and some perspective into the business model. But it's no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen, that in the next 6 months, you have 3 indoor sports and entertainment business models transitioning space that was left to die. One of the spots left to die, the old Big Lots location. Another spot that was left to die, the old Marshall spot. And another spot that was underachieving was on Old Ivy Road, the home to the former Pure Bar location. You have converted office space on Old Ivy Road that's going to be transitioned into Rock Revolution. The Kinnicks are bringing that to market. I think that business is going to crush it. Its proximity to Ivy, the interstate, the bypass, St. Anne's, the wealth that's along Ivy Road, and the fact that this community is starving for an upgraded version of Rocky Top and the Woodard Plaza. Rocky Top, no shade on them, but the business needs updating. It's beyond full capacity, and frankly speaking, there are times that it is leaves some to be desired. I'll leave it at that. The old Marshall spot has been vacant for God knows how long.
Yeah.
The Big Lots spot has been vacant for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
And you take retail that's underachieving and you convert it to sports and entertainment. That's called experiential. And we highlighted last week that the first quarter tax collection report issued by the Chamber of Commerce shows tax collections in Charlottesville and Albemarle County and most of the jurisdictions in this area are heading in the wrong direction. So if you can take empty retail storefront and empty office space and convert it into experiential businesses, that's going to be good for the jurisdictions from a tax collection standpoint.
No doubt.
Next week, the team from CVille Smash on the show to highlight their business model. Judah, the next headline, what do you got?
We don't really have. We've got the announcements of who's going to be on.
Looking forward to it. I want you to get the tidbit out for data science if you could, for the data centers.
Albemarle County is asking for feedback on what could very well be a potential future for the county, as we've seen data centers either popping up or potentially popping up all over the place, and certainly right around us. It's an interesting question.
I'm getting really cold on data centers. I was initially extremely red hot for data centers. I saw $11 billion that Amazon and Amazon Web Services was investing into Louisa County. Now Amazon wants to open a third data campus in Louisa, upping the investment into Louisa even higher than $11 billion.
Yeah.
Okay? Louisa County residents are saying, Jesus, Amazon, enough is enough. We don't need a third data center. Okay? We don't want any more of your money. Now it's Albemarle County's turn to get wined and dined and romanticized by the big money associated with data centers.
Which we should point out has not happened yet. There is no offer on the table quite yet, but...
But I would imagine if the jurisdiction is soliciting feedback from taxpayers that...
I don't know that they know that something may come down the pike soon. They want to be ready. They want to have the discussion before we get to that point, which I think is wise, and we'll see what the outcome is. You can't deny the fact that as we've heard from others before, particularly the guest on Real Talk last week, Emily Kilroy. She is the, remind me her title.
Director of Economic Development.
Yeah, of Albemarle County. And as she pointed out, they are inch for inch, they're a great source of income, taxable income, and because it's not based on, in this case, I believe it's not based on the square footage. It's actually based on the technology, and because they pack so much of that into these data centers, it's actually just from a standpoint of dollars for a locale, it's a great source of tax income, but you have to weigh that against the
water strain,
downsides.
Quality of life impact, and the hideous nature of having 10 Costco's in one location. 12 Costco's in one location. The electrical pool, the light pollution, the effect it has on your view shed. Imagine your neighborhood backing up to it. I mean, madre. All right, the Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille show. I close with this. We are now 1 week removed from Democratic primaries that will determine the futures of City Council in Charlottesville and the Jack Jewett race in Albemarle County. Albemarle County has got one contested election from a Democratic primary standpoint. Dave Shreve and Sally Duncan, Jack Jewett race. If you live in the Jack Jewett district and you identify as an independent Republican or are not affiliated with the Democratic Democratic Party, you can still vote in this primary. You do not have to be a card-carrying Democrat to vote in the Albemarle County Democratic primary or in the Charlottesville Democratic primary. 1 week remove, ladies and gentlemen.
Get out and vote, everyone.
Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille show. So long.